We are. Thank you, Dave.
No problem.
Happy
And we're
Monday.
good to go.
Good. Okay. We are convening this public meeting of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. And because we're holding this meeting virtually, take a roll call. Good morning, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning, I am here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Skinner.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Maynard.
Good morning.
Well, it's an early Monday morning to start our business, public meeting number 143. It's April 24th. And we're going to get started. We first had some minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review them? Okay, Commissioner Hill.
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move that the commission approve the minutes from the March 29th, 2023 agenda setting meeting that are included in the commissioner's packet, subject to any necessary corrections for typographical errors or other non-material matters.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, any edits or comments? Okay, Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
And I vote yes, so 5-0. All right. Want to thank Grace. She's put together a format so that we know about our upcoming meetings, which is really helpful, including the adjudicatory hearings. Just a reminder for tomorrow night, right? That we will be holding a public hearing in Everett, and I know that we'll turn to tomorrow next. I want to also just send my appreciation to everyone for their flexibility. We needed to roll over today's meeting to tomorrow, and that worked out nicely. So thank you. So for tomorrow, Grace, do you want to walk us through the agenda? Do you have that handy?
Certainly, 1 second. And yeah, since it was supposed to be tonight, sorry, it's not in this packet.
Okay, it should be pretty much outlined. Karen, for your administrative update.
Yes. So we'll have minutes from November 16th of 2022. We'll then go into sports wagering, where we have an approval of house rules for Fanatics, an approval of certificate of operations for Better, and an NFL draft event catalog report. Then we will have the executive director annual review and setting of compensation. And from there, we'll go into a series of regulations. Would you like me to go through each regulation, Chair?
Sure, thank you.
So we have 205 CMR 138 Uniform Standards of Accounting Procedures and Internal Controls. 205 CMR 238 Uniform Standards of Accounting Procedures and Internal Controls for Sports Wagering. 205 CMR 247 Uniform Standards of Sports Wagering. 205 CMR 248 Sports Wagering Account Management, and 205 CMR 256.04051 Sports Wagering Advertising.
Is everybody all set then with tomorrow's agenda? No need for a last minute amendment in any case? All right. Okay, with that, then I'll turn to Joe and Mills is on as well, and Dave and Grace for tomorrow evening. I know that we have a couple of our commissioners who will participate remotely, but it also will be a live hearing. Mills, and Joe, do you want to explain it?
Sure. So we have a public hearing scheduled for 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow. We'll be over at the Everett City Hall in the City Council chambers. Mills has been working with the IT folks over there to work his magic to get this to be our commissioners to be able to patch in remotely. But just as far as the agenda, I did ask Jackie to be there and to give us a brief presentation on the project, just so people are aware of what is going on. And then essentially, I thought I would set the stage a little bit on where we are and then open it up for public comment. We have asked folks to register with us ahead of time through our, the MGC comments email. I'll check with Grace and others after this and see if we've gotten anybody yet. That went out late last week, that request for folks. So I think that's basically it. I guess Mills, any status on sort of technology and where we are on that?
No, just to say that the team at Everett City Hall has been very helpful, and they don't foresee any problems with any remote collaboration from commissioners. So thankful to the team there.
So it's just some logistics in terms of parking.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
The commissioners have a direction. Maybe Grace, you can help us with that, coordinate where we would park.
There is a
Yeah.
parking lot right behind the city hall. It does tend to
They-
fill up pretty
They
quickly.
used to, way back when, pre-COVID, when we would go to Everett for public safety meetings, and I asked this in part because I think I can make the live meeting tomorrow night. They
Oh,
used to
good.
arrange in advance and they would cone off parking for the commissioners so that you would be able to pull in and park right behind City Hall. So I don't know if we can make sure that happens so that we all have a place to pull in and park.
Because it will be a few team members too who will be going. So
Yeah, they
That
used to
would
do
be-
that for us as a courtesy.
that'd be really helpful.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll check with them.
And we should plan on being there like 5:45. And Commissioner Maynard is in his homeland. You'll
His
be appearing virtually.
And I want to make that as easy as possible, Mills, and so we can connect on that offline. If it needs to be a telephone set up in the middle of the room, I'm fine with it. Just
The team in Everett is I think I'm making them worry. They don't foresee any issues. They're equipped and ready to go.
perfect. Thank you.
But Commissioner Maynard points out an important fact is that we have participated by phone only remotely before COVID, and that does work as well. So thank you for that reminder, Jordan. All right.
We will be getting, Mills and Grace and I will be getting over there about 5 o'clock tomorrow, just to make sure everything is good to go.
Okay. Grace, do we have a timing for tomorrow's meeting? Any sense?
Tomorrow's meeting begins at 10 a.m. and hopefully we should be wrapped up by midday, by around 1:30.
Excellent. All right. So then we, so on the upcoming meeting schedule that Grace included in our notes, the adjudicatory hearing for PSI was postponed. That's what freed us up for tomorrow and allows us to go forward with what was scheduled initially for today. Just a reminder today, everyone, Crystal, do you want to remind folks of after today's agenda setting meeting, what we have scheduled?
Sure. We're looking forward to a bit of a marketing training from ASG, a consultant marketing agency. We've asked to come and give us a really great overview on some particular questions and areas of interest for the MGC. So we have about 2 hours of that. That's the training. It's virtual.
And Todd, just as a reminder, it is an official training. Can commissioners ask questions or should we hold on questions?
Well, you can't deliberate, which means you can't ask questions that express an opinion about a particular topic. So if you do ask questions, you just need to be careful.
Okay. So we can ask questions generally around marketing but not specific to our work, is what you're saying? Or matters before us, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Any questions on that, commissioners, for today and tomorrow? Two busy, interesting days. Okay. The next on our list is May 4th. Who's going to say it?
I anticipate it'll be Jordan.
All right, so May 4th is proving to be a busy day. Karen, administrative update.
Yes, I don't have anything in particular for that day, but if any commissioners want any updates from any of the team members in the divisions, I'd be happy to coordinate that.
All right, and then we'll have minutes. All set with that, Commissioner Hill, I see you nodding.
Yep.
Mark,
Good morning.
good morning.
We are set for that. This is the public safety report for Everett and surrounding communities, covering the period actually pre-COVID all the way to current, looking at crimes, collisions, and calls for service. That has been, it has gone through our research review committee for a couple of rounds, and it's been shared and received feedback from all the local police agencies. So we are set to have Noah Fritz present that to the commission next week.
Okay. You have guests.
Yes, it's Justice Research Associates.
That's right.
I can make sure to get the name of the presenter to, who do I get that to now?
To Grace.
To Grace.
To Grace
Okay.
and always CC Trudy, and then the title, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
They're likely, Grace, when we have a guest speaker like that, to try to get them up front unless they want to go later in the day.
Nope, they're up front. They've requested that already as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We have then our budget review. I know that the division leaders and department leaders are meeting with Karen and Derek, and I'm presuming Commissioner Skinner in her role as treasurer to go over budget. And last year we started to sit down together and talk about our budget, something that hadn't been done, I don't think, at least in recent past. So Derek and Grace, you've been working on it, I presume, with Karen and Commissioner Skinner. Are we going to be all set on that?
Yep, we should be all set, and I'll be reaching out to all the commissioners to have an opportunity to go over that individually ahead of time as well.
Excellent.
We'll be doing our best Jedi mind tricks on you, Chair.
Say again.
We'll be doing our best Jedi mind tricks on you on the 4th.
There we go.
Well, I didn't quite hear you, but if Jordan says there we go, then I'm all set too.
Okay.
All right.
Derek, I thought you caught her in a I don't know what he's talking about moment right there with the Star Wars reference.
May
Oh,
4th,
that's what it was.
Jedi mind
Thank
trick.
you.
You asked who would do it first. I'm that guy.
Thank you. And I
Welcome.
didn't quite hear. So there, I got the connection. Thank you. All righty. Then we're moving on. Oh, fanatics. Is Bruce here? And Sterl, are you and Crystal covering for?
I don't know where Director Ben is at the moment, but for the May 4th meeting, we do, I have had several requests from the U.S. Integrity to bring forth the proposals for the 6 new events. That will be ready prior to that meeting, if we could schedule it for that meeting.
So that's Secretary Director Wells. I'm just going to. You're coordinating that. It's a long meeting anyway. We do have a firm stop like 2:45 because GPAC follows that meeting.
We do have fanatics for the certificate of operations, if that's what you were asking,
That
Chair.
will be, okay, that will be ready. All right, so that will
As
be
of
ready.
right now, that's scheduled, they're ready. They'll let us know, but it seems still on.
Cheryl, you were asking about the other event requests, getting that back on the agenda. Is that correct?
We rolled
I-
over, except for the marathon, we rolled over the others, and there's like 4 or 5, right, Sterl?
Yeah, there's 6.
So I have a question about event catalog additions. Todd, the regulation, I think, says any person can make a request. And so still just reminded all of us, I think I had it on my mind that the US Integrity brought these forth, and that's actually the monitor. I'm wondering, does that reg reflect statutory requirements, or does it maybe reflect other jurisdiction approaches? Because I'm wondering about the generality of that reg where anyone can bring this forward.
Yeah, I think it's actually the latter. I don't believe it's in the statute. I'd have to double check that. I think we crafted that, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, we have discovered in handling these matters now that it can be an interesting dynamic if it's someone other than an operator that asks for an event to be added, where we don't even know if an operator would actually offer the particular wager.
Yeah, Commissioner O'Brien, you're nodding your head. Why don't you weigh in?
Yeah, no, so that I had the same question that you did. And if it's not statutory, I don't know how everyone else feels. I'd love to have a deeper conversation about why it's so broad, because it does seem strange to me to put that authority to put something in front of us for adjudication that maybe our operators don't even want.
Right, right. So going forward, I don't know which we address first. If we address the reg, if we address, maybe we take care of these 6 and then talk about the reg. What do you think, commissioners? How would you like to approach this?
I think that's a good approach, but I would just say to Commissioner O'Brien's concern that I would think the operators would weigh in if we were going to be having a meeting beforehand, if they wanted to be able to offer something or not from a citizen who may want to offer something.
Right.
But that's a debate. I think we should do the 6 since we've already rolled them over and people are waiting for us to take action on them. But certainly a discussion that should take place soon thereafter.
Right.
So if I could, I've been working with Karen and Todd and Bruce, and we have crafted a form, and we have addressed some of the concerns that were coming up out of the first go around. And we're hoping that a lot of the questions, I also emailed US Integrity back with several of the questions that came up earlier. So I'm hoping that the form gets better clarity for everyone on who's the governing body, if they've been informed, if the Players Association has been informed, if public comment had been out, and other such concerns. So we could also tweak the form if it's decided that we want to try and change the regulation to assure maybe just operators or governing bodies or their hired provide or a hired service such as US Integrity would be the only ones to present. That's up to, I guess, the commissioner's decisions. So
Still brings up a good point. The reg probably doesn't reflect our desire to get public comment. So at the very least, maybe we would want to tweak the reg for that reason, to incorporate that component. Grace, how's it look to add those 6 items in? That not looking good, huh?
No, I think we would need to either bump a handful of other agenda items or add this to a later date.
What time are we starting that day?
We're scheduled to start at 10. I think we are unlikely to wrap by 3 as it is before the GPAC meeting. So even if we bumped it up, I'm not sure we would have time to add in that number of events.
Dr. Lightbound, I'll get with you in 1 second. May 8th, we right now have the independent monitor has been rescheduled for that day. We could expand that to a more fulsome public meeting, commissioners. I don't know how that day looks, Trudy, for all the commissioners. May 8th, and perhaps we could either roll over something from May 4th or maybe roll over this item, Sterl, to give it that fulsome discussion that it sounds like it may demand. And then there were a couple of executive session matters that I'd like to explore with Todd. Perhaps those could be tacked on too, if that day is open for commissioner meeting. How's it looking, Trudy?
So May 8th is looking pretty, I mean, we have the independent monitoring in the morning, but after that it's pretty open.
For all 5 of us?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think, commissioners? Does that sound like a good plan? Is that okay? I see, Nikisha, you're good. Eileen, you're good. And okay, great. Thanks, George. All right. So, Grace, I think that's the plan. Then we'll work on that now. Dr. Lightbound.
I just wanted to let you know that I know it's jumping ahead a little bit, but for planning purposes, Paul Umbrillo's asked to take the request for escrowing off on the May 4th. So that will open up some time.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
That probably gives us a little bit breather for the GPAC. But thank you. You're reminding me I do need to go back up to all the matters because we went from fanatics to that the events. And so thank you for getting me back on. And I hear from Crystal that we'll be all set with the fanatics certificate of operation. And then Eileen, you wanted to bring forth the succession of officers and positions. Are you all set for that? And what do you plan on?
Yeah, that's fine. We can keep it there. We can move it to the 8th if you're crunched for time too.
Maybe we'll keep it near the end of the agenda when we post.
Right, and then we can bump it if we
pull it over, right? Yeah. Okay, and then so Paul would like more time for number 8. Do you think the 8th is enough time, or should we be thinking the 16th?
Paul was actually asking if he could wait till the June 1st meeting.
Oh, sorry if I missed that. Okay. All right. And then we have the regs. Is that the complete list?
I believe so. I think that's ready to go.
And Joe, what have we got on for community litigation today?
So we have just the workforce grants, which are very similar to what you've seen in the past. In fact, they're pretty close to identical. There's a couple of little tweaks to them. But actually, I will not be here for that meeting. So Mary and Lily will be taking the lead on that. So,
do you want to appear virtually from your sailing trip?
I don't believe I will have any connection whatsoever.
Mills can figure out a way for you.
My phone might fall overboard.
Satellite phones work very well, Joe.
You're leaving your work in good hands. That's good. All righty. Anything else for May 4th that is time sensitive? All right. It's going to be a full day. And then for GPAC, I know Mark you'll be appearing, and I think Todd, you're going to have a piece there. Grace, is there anyone else commissioners will have an invite. It's a public meeting. We just can't deliberate, and you can be active listeners.
We may ask sports wagering for a presentation, but we will discuss that with you all.
Right. So Grace will be working with Chair Serpa on the agenda. Excellent. Okay. So May 8th. Just added a few more things. It's Cheryl, thank you for working on that to kind of standardize the approach, especially if we keep it general, then it could be a really active work, so it'll really help us. So thank you. Mark,
Thank you.
what have you got?
If we could add the vote for the FY24 research agenda, just to follow on the heels of the GPAC advice.
For May 8th,
Correct.
rather than wait for the, that would be helpful, right?
Yes, it would.
So we had our discussion the other day, then you'll get that feedback, and then you'll remind us of what we prioritized the other day, and then update us on the GPAC, and then we'll vote. Is that the idea, Mark?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anything else for May 8th? Todd? Oh, your screen lit up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Then we're turning to next. Okay, looks like we have an adjudicatory hearing on the 9th for a qualifier. I don't know if Loretta or Heather. Loretta, do you,
I think
is that legal or is that IEB?
I'm sorry, Todd, go ahead.
no, please, Loretta. I didn't realize you were here.
Yeah, good morning. It's a casino qualifier. I believe you have the report already. Enforcement Counsel Deandra Franks was going to handle it on behalf of the IEB. I believe it's an MGM qualifier.
So we have received that report, right? And who?
Yes, Mr. Christ.
Yes, Mr. Christ. And who's going to be covering?
Enforcement Counsel Deandra Franks.
Oh, great.
Chair,
Questions on that? Yeah.
I do have a question. Good morning, Director Lilios. I don't recall receiving that report.
I'm just wondering if we can search for it.
Yeah, I just did a search. I can't find it. So if you could just circulate it, that would be helpful. Thank you.
I think it comes through the legal division, right? Right, Todd? Do you?
That's right. We'll make sure you get all of the exhibits as soon as possible. But yeah, that's right. It will come from us.
Sometimes it comes directly from IEB, but that would be great, Todd. Thank you.
Yep. It usually depends whether the IB is a party to the matter or not. If they're not a party, sometimes they send you the documents directly. If they are a party, it would typically come through the legal department.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And I'm sorry if I missed it. I just did a search, but I can't find it. So
I did a couple searches also, Commissioner Skinner, and couldn't find it. I think it's probably still en route.
Okay. May 10th, we've got an agenda setting meeting. Is that a 10 o'clock start? Grace or? Yep. Okay, good.
Yep, 10 o'clock.
Thanks. Then we got another public meeting, May 16th. Have an administrative update. Karen?
Nothing in particular at this point.
Okay. And then, I don't know if we have the date. Oh, there she is. Good morning, Judy.
Good morning. For that day, May 16th, we are going to have 2 sets, but they're short, I promise. One from, sorry, my window just decided to freeze up on me. One from November 29th and one from December 1st.
Great, thank you, Judy. And then next on the list, I've asked Grace to reinstitute as a standing item on our agenda, setting and legislative updates, because it's an active time. We kind of took that off as a standing item once we had what's moving before us. So I see it's right now Commissioner Hill, Grace, and Todd, and it should include Commissioner Maynard too, I believe, right, Commissioner Hill? Or
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
And
excellent.
we would like to bring one bill before the commission for discussion on that date, if possible.
So that would be May 16th. That timing still works for you, Brad?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. And a general update, maybe on everything that's kind of out there too, might be helpful, just as a reminder for all the commissioners to hear it at once. If there's anything in particular, I know there's a long list of racing bills, so maybe just generally.
Yep.
Joe, thanks. Any questions on that, commissioners? Those of us not involved? Okay. Great. Going to have regulations that day, Todd?
I don't see anything at the moment, but if we can get back to you at the next agenda setting meeting with anything, that would be great.
And you can coordinate with Grace too. Okay, if there's, especially if something needs to be rolled over from our earlier meetings. Okay. Jordan and Dr. Lightbound.
And Chair,
Oh,
just
yes.
quickly, this was also on the agenda for May 4th, and I think we jumped over it. So on May 4th is meant to be just the initial discussion and then bring back for a vote on the 16th.
Oh, did I jump over it? My apologies. Yes, I did. So this would be, the initial discussion will be Commissioner Maynard and Dr. Lightbound
And Commissioner Hill.
and Commissioner Hill. So the three of you will be dealing with the delegation of authority and then just giving us the lay of the land. And then on the 16th will be the vote and the finalization of that document, which really hasn't been looked at for several years, right, Alex?
Yeah, that's correct. I think it was actually almost 10 years
10 years.
that it's been revisited.
And it pre Dr. Lightbound, so this is good. Excellent. All right, well, sorry about that. I missed it. All right. Okay, then we're going to turn to Chief Delaney, who will be very well rested.
Let's hope. So yeah, the Encore Broadway discussion, this is going to be sort of that issue of what exactly it is that we want to see in an application from Encore regarding the East of Broadway expansion. We will have heard on the public hearing this week, and then that next step is sort of getting together exactly what it is that we want from Encore to submit to us for a final review and decision on their application.
And you and Todd and team will work out kind of the structure for that discussion, right?
Yep, yep.
And then we move on to the third part.
Yeah, the third part will be the public meeting or potentially a series of public meetings, depending on how quickly or slowly things go. To make that decision on, really it's the decision on whether to allow the expansion of the gaming establishments to this property across the street.
And Joe and Todd, am I right? that the structure for that discussion is that 4 factors or 5-factor analysis, or is it a hybrid of some sort?
I think it's kind of a hybrid, because, one of the factors, the 4-factor test was more or less to exclude something from the gaming establishment. In this case, where they're putting gaming across the street, it has to be part of the gaming establishment. But I think we're still using those factors to consider as part of it as well. Is that fair, Todd?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. This is slightly different than that, but it is part of the analysis, we do believe.
Commissioners, I don't know if you want to just ask on process kind of questions as we're starting to. I'm looking down the road what it's going to feel like. Commissioner O'Brien?
I just lost you. I couldn't hear your audio about partway through that.
It's doing the same thing that it's been doing. I don't know why. Okay, can you hear me now, Commissioner?
Yep.
Yeah, for some reason it cuts out occasionally. I just thought that if you have any questions about the process going forward, if we start tomorrow, and then those priorities discussion will come on the 16th, and then we'll have that decision-making process. If there's anything you wanted to ask about, I just sort of have to have it in my head what it's going to look like a bit. You might have more specific questions. Commissioner O'Brien?
I may, once we have the conversation. I can't think of one right now, but I may once we really dive into it.
Yeah. So maybe that's kind of part of the 16th too, sort of laying out the process for legal and you, Joe, and your team.
Yep.
Anything else, commissioners, on that? Okay. Then we've got the quarterly reports.
So Plain Ridge is all set, and Encore said that they were all set. I did hear back from MGM. A couple of their folks are not going to be around on the 16th. So they have asked if we could defer that. They would appreciate that. So the next regular meeting isn't until June 1st, but I suppose we could put it off until then if that's okay with the commission.
Right, because we have the 22nd is going to be just strictly community mitigation. We may end up, do we need to have another meeting in between, commissioners? We may need that. I'm going to turn to Karen. Can you just be thinking if there's anything that's going to be coming up that would require another meeting between May 16th and June 1st? That seems to be a pretty big spread. I suspect we'll probably end up having something, but they'll need notice. So at the very least, why don't we have them on for the June 1st, unless that's just too long, Joe?
Well, no, I mean, it's, we're all getting close to this end of the second quarter by the time we're getting the first quarter report. So, it's, but yeah, I mean, we can certainly do that. There's no there's no deadline particularly for that.
Do you want to, you don't want to add it in front of community mitigation, do you?
Well, I can certainly do that. I mean, the community mitigation discussions are going to be fairly lengthy, but these typically reports are about 20 minutes or so. So I could certainly do that. So I could check with them and see if they're available on the which one.
That day works for them. Okay.
The 22nd.
22nd.
Yep. Yeah, I'll check with them and see if that works.
Okay. Excellent. And then it looks like we may have a lease update on that day, and that would require an executive session. Karen, for some reason, we're not hearing you. Unless it's me.
No, can't hear.
Can't hear.
Can see her.
While Karen figures that out, Chair, I do have something to add for the 16th.
To the 16th, yep.
Yes, so the third quarter budget update for the MGC. Tie in nicely with the licensees, so I can take MGM's 20 minutes. If that's all right with them.
So I wondered when we were gonna get that on the list, so third quarter budget update. Okay. We still can't hear you, Karen.
She sent a message.
Karen, it
Like-
sounds crazy, but sometimes when that happens to me, if I turn my video off and turn it back on, it miraculously cures itself. That may or may not work.
Reboot. Okay, so she's saying that keep the least update and then we will just have the executive session language for that. Looking forward to that, Mary Ann. Okay.
All right, but how about now? Can you hear me now?
There you are, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So the lease, is there any, and then we just added Derek's update for the third quarter budget update. Derek, your hand is still up, but that's just that's left over, right? Or do you have another? Okay. And then Karen, is there anything else on the 16th?
I'm looking here. I don't have anything. No, I'm all set.
I would just, Madam Chair, if I may, just amend what I said earlier. I realized I hadn't scrolled down the whole regulation list. There are a couple of regulations that I think might be ready for the 16th. So we'll get those over to Grace, but I just wanted to make sure we set some time aside and we'll confirm that at the next meeting.
All right. Anything else from the team? Good morning, Bruce. One thing that
Good morning.
something as we that I wouldn't say would be reserved for under review. I'd like to address it, commissioners, is when we get requests for amendments to House rules. I think, Sterling, you had one that was a really good idea. I can't remember if it was DraftKings or some, it was an operator who came forward, and it seemed to me to be, and I think I remarked publicly that it would be a best practice that we want all operators to adopt. So I'm wondering about how we standardize that process and whether we need to go back and consider that. Sterling and Bruce and Crystal, I don't know if you've thought about that, but I'm wondering if that's something like for the 16th or June 1st.
Yeah, so I have thought of that where what you can do is we can always just like the regulations, Karen can always say that they need to update their house rules and present it to the commission to have them all. If there's one that operator that's doing something that we feel is great for all, that we can then request all others to change. We could write up something to where we could create a procedure for that.
So Karen, I think if the sports wagering division and legal could work on that, I think that's a good plan going forward. Commissioners, did you want to weigh in? I can't remember what the update was, if it was the rounding or if it was something else. But one, I think it wasn't the rounding. It was something else.
It was something else. I just can't recall what it was, and they had a good process. I believe you're correct. I think it was DraftKings said something in their rules, but I can't recall what it was.
Right, it didn't pertain to a particular sport, where I think the other changes were, about a particular event. And it prompted me to say, oh, I think we might want to have all operators adopt it. So we might want to look retroactively and then have a process moving forward. Commissioners, any thoughts on that? You recall that discussion, right?
We've also developed the form, refined the form as to when people want to add a sport or something like that, where on the commission's advice as to getting input from the various agencies involved with it and so on.
Yeah, so Bruce, I think we've added that topic and those outstanding 6 items to May
8th.
May 8th.
Okay, great.
Okay, good. All right, anything else from May 16th? Cheryl, if May 16th is getting kind of busy anyway, maybe if we have another meeting, we can add the standardization of those house rules or put it on for June 1st, okay?
Yep, since we're speaking of that, just to let everyone know that the house rules always get refined by all the operators, and if they come in, if they like trickle in, do we want to also think of a procedure of, you know, what is urgent, what is not, on how they could get in front of the commission a little quicker? I don't know. Right?
Oh, we're nimble. We'll do anything that if they need us, we'll accommodate that. I guess my only point was, if it's a really good idea, let's figure out how we, at the same time, we apply it across the board.
Got it.
And I don't know if that requires a reg change or not, but I'll leave it to you and the legal team work that out. Commissioners, yeah. I'm not hearing any objections. I think that will go forward on that. So then we've got May 22nd. Joe?
Yeah, we should be all set for that. I think actually Mary and Lily and I are meeting later today to go over all of our schedules and so on. I think that first meeting will be mostly transportation related, transportation planning and transportation construction. And then the subsequent one on the 28th will be public safety.
Is it the 28th or is it the 30th?
Let's see, when is it? Oh, excuse me, the 30th.
30th.
Yep, sorry.
Okay, so May 30th will be the second, and that's,
Yeah, I think we'll be doing public safety primarily at that one. And then the other applications, we're going to try to fit those in at regular meetings rather than do separate meetings if time allows.
okay. All right. So then turning to, we're going to have a agenda setting meeting on the 24th. May 30th will be the second day for mitigation fund, and then turn to June 1st public meeting, administrative update. Anything in particular, Karen? Did you have anything in particular,
Yeah,
Karen?
oh, I'm sorry, I thought you heard me. No.
Okay. All right. And meeting minutes? We'll have some.
Well, that's the plan. That is the plan.
Thank you.
Chair, I think Sterl has his hand up.
Just 1 second. Sorry. I was just taking care of my own notes. Sterl?
So we do have house rules that have been submitted by FanDuel that we need to fit into a meeting when we have a chance. They're very lengthy, but they are not full. It's a lot of clarity that removes a lot of language.
Should we be looking at them on May 8th?
I didn't know how what the agenda or the time restraints were for that particular meeting.
Otherwise, we've got May 16th. Grace, what do you think?
I think May 16th should be okay since we're moving one of the quarterly reports. And nothing else should be too lengthy. If you can wait till the 16th still.
I can.
Okay, Karen?
Yes, so the other matter, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned earlier was we have a 30-day update on the Rainham application that we would need to schedule. As you may recall, we had the last matter was on for the 12th, and we put that over, and we indicated publicly that there would be an update publicly on or before the 30-day date. So 30 days from the 12th is it's May 12th. So so we may want to put something on or before May 12th.
So okay, so now we're looking at the 8th and the 16th for two matters. Grace, we should meet that 30 days.
I would do May 8th for that.
That would work? And that's the status report. And then for Sterl's house rules from, remind me which operator, Sterl?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Which operator for the house rules again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, FanDuel.
FanDuel, thank you. So it's amendments.
It is a lot of clarifications.
And you're going to look at those to see if there are any that are clarifications that go across the board, right?
I will. Thank you.
Okay. So did you say, Grace, what you recommended? Seems like it's a long time till June 1st for them to get those amendments done.
For FanDuel's house rules, I think we can add it to the 16th.
The 16th. I didn't quite hear you before. Thank you. All right, back to June 1st. We're going to have racing regulations that day.
That is still the active plan. They are a work in progress. There are a number of stakeholders we haven't been able to share those with yet, which we certainly hope to do in the short term. So if we can keep that on June 1st, that'd be great. And we'll offer an update as soon as we can.
So June 1st is all horse racing. Kind of right now. We've got the racing regs, the application review, and if that's the existing racing.
That's right. And that goes hand in hand with the racing regulations themselves. So it's separate subject matters, but they're very similar.
Right, they're connected. And then we have the ADW regs, and I know, Eileen, you've been working with Todd on that too, or?
That falls into this, I'm sorry, Commissioner O'Brien, I didn't mean to cut you off there. That falls into the same category. They're actively being put together. We do need to share those with the internal stakeholders, so hope to have them in good shape so Commissioner O'Brien and others can have a look.
So I guess we should probably figure out how solid that day is, because right now that's a full agenda, and it would clear up some good real estate if we didn't go forward, but it is the season, so it'd be really helpful. I've got Mark, he's got his hand up.
Yeah, hi. Just to break up the racing, if we could add the Encore Boston Harbor patron and license plate survey report.
Okay, and Derek?
If we can add on June 1st, the 15th or the 19th, I don't, it doesn't really matter which day is the FY24 budget initial review. And then we put it out for comment for 2 weeks, and then we come back and do a secondary review. We usually do this around the 15th and then the 29th. However, we're adding the sports wagering budget in this year, so if it'd be helpful to put it on the 1st to give a little extra time in case the commissioners want to do some extra review, we will be ready for that.
Let's put it on the 1st, right, commissioners? That will give plenty of time. All right, I see nodding heads. Anything else for the 1st, team?
We'll also have the request to escrow RHCF that was pushed.
Thank you. So a big horse racing day. Okay. And a big legal day, so thank you. Nothing else at this time? Joe, I'm mindful of the fact that you might have some spillover from the community mitigation grants, but we'll play that by ear as we go forward.
Yeah, I mean, we can either, as I said, try to piggyback it on existing meetings, or, I mean, if we need to schedule something separate again, we could try to do that. We're trying to get wrapped up by, early June if we can. So yeah, we'll play it by ear a little bit and see where we are.
Okay. So nothing else on June 1st. We'll go for under review. Number 1, we just addressed, right? Isla,
Yeah, that's still under review.
okay. Encore Broadway expansion, we're going to have the 2nd. So the public hearing is kind of, that's addressed, and then we've got the 1st. But we'll need to figure out the dates for the.
Yeah, I think once we have that meeting on the 16th and talk about sort of what we want, I think that we're going to then, request an application from Encore with, the particular things that we're interested in, and probably need to give them a little bit of time to pull that together. And, I would envision us starting the discussion probably no earlier than June.
And right now we've got the June 1, 15, and 29, as Derek just said. So you can keep that in mind, Joe, too, but we might end up have separate sessions for it. I get it.
Yeah, I would guess that we wouldn't go any earlier than the middle of the month would be my guesstimate at this point.
Okay. Compliance committee.
That's still under review. Hopefully by June, I'll have more of a sense of when to bring it forward.
Okay. We just took care of the patron license. Right, Mark?
Yes, that's correct.
Excellent. But now you've got the Springfield Community Driven Research Project.
We are nearing the end of that with our research review committee and the researchers. I'm guessing sometime in June. I think safely to say sometime in June, but keep it under review.
Okay. Mark, can you remind me what they're looking at in particular? I'm sorry that I'm forgetting.
They're looking at housing impacts, primarily housing impacts, but also sort of a general sort of review from the local community around MGM Springfield, the 2 zip codes around MGM Springfield.
Thank you. So this is on the host community agreement compliance, number 7, under review. We're looking at, I think Commissioner Skinner suggested that it be for all 3 properties now, just an update, respect to compliance on that. Is that
Yes,
something-
I'm in the process of scheduling these meetings with our licensees. You know, this is it's really more complex than just looking at the host community agreements. You know, those go in and around all of our other various sort of external compliance. So this could actually be a bit of a multi-step process with this. But so anyway, so still under review because I'm scheduling those meetings right now.
Okay. Oh, the recognition for the Jockey Guild, Dr. Langfeld.
Yeah, can we keep that under review still, please?
Sure. And then the research agenda, we'll be all set with that now, Mark?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and then there won't be any outstanding certificate of operations or?
Well, we still have Bally's,
Bally's.
yeah, in there, and they aren't sure on their timeline. I'd heard from them last week. They're looking for a new server group.
Yeah, Grace, your note was right. Bally's will be the only outstanding, so we'll keep that under review.
Yes.
Thank you. And then event catalog additions, we'll keep that under review. And as we figure out our system, perhaps maybe we'll make it a standing item on the agenda. We think it needs to be a regular item.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully, yes.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So Bruce, I'm not sure if you were with us yet when we discussed that. Also would like to look at the regulation because right now the regulation might need some tweaking. So that's associated with that. So
Agreed. Sorry, I missed the beginning. I was getting ready for Fanatics meeting for tomorrow with them.
no problem. Your team will update you. Okay. All right. Anything else for under review? I have a couple of items. Actually, I think it's only one item. And that's I think we need to revisit our mission statement now that there's an expansion of sports wagering. So stay tuned. I'm just going to work with Karen to put together a little bit of an ad hoc group, working group, to be able to come back with some recommendations. That can be quite a process. We don't want to make it so time consuming that it's a burden, but it's really, I think, a best practice to re-examine that mission statement. It's been 10 years, 11 years, right? And of course, a lot has changed already. So we can add that under review, Grace. Anything else, commissioners? Okay. Oh, this, Cheryl.
Sorry to be a pest.
No, you're not a pest at all.
I was just reviewing our last meeting notes, and was the question that BetMGM changed their language to be active 1 week of the regular season to play at least one snap in the regular season, one in which you were thinking that should be across the board, or was it something else?
I'll have to look at the notes. That could be one, but I think that wasn't the one I had in mind, but that could be one. Remember, that was the meeting though.
I remember that one was sticking out to me, that I really liked that change for them because that protected the consumer, because a player could be active and then never step on the field. And that is unfair for someone who is wagering. So I didn't understand. I don't recall if that was it. I know that was a topic of conversation, and the mercy rule that we found was brought in with, I didn't even know was updated into softball rules and the World Baseball Classic. I think I remember Commissioner Hill saying. And we even got that clarifying statement from the constituent as well that Commissioner Hill sent out. Or what?
Do you
that
remember
was
the one that was at the very top of the list, the first one?
the very top was just Win changing it from a penny to $1.
The rounding.
The rounding was Caesars at the top as well. Caesars just made a change from bonus bet updating language from bonus bet to bet credit. And then they had 3 updates to their cycling, volleyball, and softball.
Yeah, so not those two. Well, in any case, I think we all sort of saw that they're very individualized, but that some of them, as you point out, that SNAP might be exactly one that should be made across the board. So I think we just have to figure out that process for us commissioners so that we mark it up the right way on the agenda and decide if we're going to impose it across the board.
I send out to all of the licensees when their rules have been accepted by you and changed, and then for them to submit back their clean copies. I could also send to all licensees something that might have been changed at one and see if they respond by saying, we would like to do that change, or however you want to try that process. And it may be a suggestion if it's not like something that's seen, or if it's something urgent, we could definitely make the request by our regulation. There is language in there that you can always request an immediate change for them to send in.
Well, I'm going to make the suggestion again that you, the 3 of you in the sports wagering division, work with legal and come up with a proposal, and then commissioners will be able to react a little bit right now in terms of how we process and make sure that we're not slowing things down unnecessarily, but also creating the best practices for Massachusetts.
So, Madam Chair, I did think of one other thing that I want to put on the radar for us to talk about. A lot of the operators, when we said you can't say risk-free, and so some of them have obviously been changing their language, and at least one of them uses the phrasing win or lose, which kind of implies the same thing for me. But I know that that was something I had heard a couple of weeks ago. I just want to put that on. Maybe it's even under review to get in the cycle coming up in terms of making sure we're checking some of the phrases that they're using.
Do you want to include that under legal for the regulation to revisit our reg on that and think about whether we need to expand it in any way?
Well, so I think it's going to be ever evolving. So you take out risk-free, they obviously have to use another phrase. Some of them may come too close to the concept we didn't want them using. And so it is something I think we're going to have to keep looking at. And that win or lose to me is something that's out there. So something we should be talking about.
Commissioners' reactions, because that's such an important part of our long discussions on the advertising reg. Maybe we revisit that language to see, does it require sort of our
Like a
intent,
broader,
intent, right? Rather than the exact.
Rather than quote, right.
Well, I think the good news is that that discussion and with our other fellow regulators across the country has really sparked a big conversation. And
so Crystal actually just pointed that out to me. She's heard guaranteed as another phrase they've been putting in when they take out risk-free. So that whole idea of do we do the intent we want rather than having to keep going back and amending a reg.
Todd, can you add that to your list? I think and update Nina, that would be great. All right. And thank you, Crystal. Crystal can probably give a lot of insights on that for us. So thank you. Anything else, commissioners? And thanks to Brad and Jordan for your work on the horse racing. really helpful. Nikisha, you'll be involved with presentation on the budget in your role as treasurer. All right. Nothing else for under review? And I need a motion to adjourn, and then let's have a 15-minute break before we start marketing.
Yeah. Move to adjourn.
Thanks.
Second.
Thanks. Any concerns? All right, Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
Commissioner Maynard.
Aye.
I vote yes, 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, entire team, very helpful.